Did you know that in America, the most dangerous jobs have a fatal injury rate of over 135 per 100,000 full-time equivalent workers? Now that's a shocking statistic to ponder. This stark reality brings us to our topic today: the most dangerous jobs in America. Jobs that carry high risks, where every day workers face hazards that could lead to severe injuries or even fatal accidents. From logging workers braving the wilderness, roofers battling the elements, to aircraft pilots and flight engineers navigating the skies, these are the unsung heroes of our society. They risk their lives, not just for a paycheck, but to keep the wheels of our economy turning. And yet, the dangers they face often go unnoticed. Non-fatal injuries are also a common occurrence, adding to the toll on these brave workers' health and well-being. In the next few minutes, we'll be breaking down the top 10 most dangerous jobs in America. The most dangerous job in America is that of a logging worker, with a staggering 97.6 fatal work injuries per 100,000 full-time equivalent workers. Now, let's delve into what a logging worker does. These brave individuals spend their days cutting down enormous trees, often in remote, treacherous terrains. Their tasks involve felling trees, cutting them into logs, and transporting these heavy loads to mills. It's a physically demanding job, requiring strength, coordination, and a keen awareness of one's surroundings. The risks involved are substantial. Logging workers are constantly exposed to hazards such as falling branches, rough terrains, and unpredictable weather conditions. They also operate powerful machinery and tools, like chainsaws and heavy-duty vehicles, which can lead to severe injuries if not handled correctly. When we talk about the most common injuries, they can range from cuts and lacerations to more grave ones like broken bones or even fatal injuries caused by falling trees or machinery accidents. And let's not forget about the potential for long-term damage to hearing from the constant roar of machinery, or musculoskeletal disorders from repetitive, strenuous activities. The average salary for a logging worker may come as a surprise. Despite the high risks and demanding nature of the job, the median annual wage for logging workers was a little over $38,000 in 2023. That's considerably less than the national average wage. Yet they continue to do this job, often driven by a sense of duty, a love for the outdoors, or the satisfaction derived from a hard day's work. Nonetheless, it's crucial to remember that every job comes with its own set of risks. The logging industry, like many others, is continually working on ways to improve safety and decrease the number of workplace injuries and fatalities. The life of a logging worker is indeed a risky one. But let's move on to the second most dangerous job. Next in line, we have fishing and hunting workers, who face a fatal injury rate of 77.4 per 100,000 full-time equivalent workers. These brave individuals take to the seas and wilderness, battling nature's harshest conditions to provide resources we often take for granted. The job of a fishing and hunting worker is far from a tranquil day out in the open. It's a high-risk game of endurance, skill, and sheer grit. The risks involved are numerous, from harsh weather conditions and unpredictable wildlife, to the potential for equipment failure and accidents. The most common injuries include falls, cuts, and puncture wounds. But there's also a significant risk of more serious harm, such as hypothermia or drowning. Despite these dangers, the average salary for these workers is around $48,000 per year, a stark reminder of the price they pay for their profession. Fishing and hunting is not just a hobby, it's a high-risk profession. Let's proceed to the third most dangerous job. Roofers, aircraft pilots, and flight engineers and structural iron and steel workers also make it to the top 5 most dangerous jobs list. So let's dive into the world of these high-risk professions. Roofers, for instance, work at great heights in all kinds of weather. The risks involved are evident: falls, heat stroke, and injuries from tools. Sadly, for every 100,000 roofers, there are around 51 fatal injuries annually. However, these risks are somewhat offset by their average annual salary, which stands at about $42,000. Next up, we have aircraft pilots and flight engineers. Although air travel is considered safe, the job of those who operate the aircraft isn't. They often have to deal with extreme weather conditions, long and irregular hours, and high levels of stress. The most common injuries among these professionals include back injuries and hearing loss. The annual fatal injury rate is 59 per 100,000 workers. Despite these risks, the average salary is quite high, with pilots and flight engineers earning a median wage of around $116,000 per year. Finally, let's talk about structural iron and steel workers. These brave souls work at dizzying heights, often on incomplete structures. The dangers are clear. Falls, being struck by objects, and electrocution are all too common. The fatal injury rate stands at 25 per 100,000 workers, making it one of the most dangerous professions. However, the average salary for these workers is approximately $53,000 per year. As we explore these professions, it becomes clear that these are not jobs for everyone. They require a unique blend of skills, courage, and to some extent, a willingness to put oneself in harm's way. These jobs are not for the faint-hearted. Let's move on to the next set of dangerous jobs. Delivery and truck drivers, refuse and recyclable material collectors, underground mining machine operators, construction trade workers, and electrical power line installers and repairers complete our top 10 list. Let's start with delivery and truck drivers. They face the risk of traffic accidents, long hours behind the wheel, and even the threat of violence during deliveries. The most common injuries here are musculoskeletal disorders, largely due to the repetitive heavy lifting. On average, these drivers can make anywhere between $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Next, we have refuse and recyclable material collectors. They face the hazards of heavy machinery, exposure to harmful substances, and accidents involving vehicles. The injuries most commonly seen in this profession are strains and sprains, as well as injuries from sharp objects. The average salary for this profession is around $36,000 annually. Now let's delve underground with mining machine operators. They face the threats of cave-ins, explosions, and equipment accidents. The most common injuries are related to falls, trips, and slips. These workers can expect to make around $50,000 a year. Construction trade workers face a myriad of risks, from falls from heights and equipment-related accidents to exposure to harmful substances and materials. The most common injuries, fractures and sprains. The average salary for these workers can range from $30,000 to $60,000 a year. Lastly, we have electrical power line installers and repairers. They face the risks of electrocution, falls, and even burns. The most common injuries are electrical burns and shocks. These professionals can make a substantial income, with the average salary being around $70,000 annually. These jobs may be dangerous, but they are essential for society to function. The people in these professions face risks every day to ensure our lives run smoothly. So the next time you see a truck driver, a refuse collector, a construction worker, or an electrical repairer, remember the sacrifices they make on a daily basis. We've now explored the most dangerous jobs in America. But what does this mean for us? It's a reflection of the risks that many individuals take on a daily basis to keep the wheels of our society turning. From the logging workers who brave the wilderness, to the fishing and hunting workers who battle the unpredictable elements of nature. These are the individuals who put their lives on the line to bring us resources we often take for granted. Then we have our roofers, who work at dizzying heights under the blazing sun or biting cold. And aircraft pilots and flight engineers who navigate through the vast skies, often in challenging weather conditions. Their dedication ensures we have shelter over our heads and the ability to travel far and wide. The structural iron and steel workers, delivery and truck drivers, refuse and recyclable material collectors, and underground mining machine operators are the backbone of our infrastructure and economy. They construct our buildings, transport goods, manage our waste, and extract invaluable resources from the earth, often under hazardous conditions. And let's not forget the electrical power line installers and repairers, and construction trade workers who ensure our homes and cities remain powered and functional. They work in close proximity to high voltage lines and heavy machinery, risking severe injuries and even fatalities. Despite the high risk of non-fatal injuries and the alarming statistics of injury rates and deaths, these workers continue their professions, often for salaries that may not seem commensurate with the risks involved. Their most common injuries range from falls, cuts, and fractures to more severe cases like electrocutions and even fatalities. The importance of these jobs cannot be overstated, and neither can the need for safety measures to protect these workers. It's about acknowledging the risks they take and advocating for better working conditions, improved safety protocols, and fair compensation. Next time you meet someone from these professions, remember the risks they take every day to keep our society running. Stay safe, and until next time, keep exploring the world around you.